Hi, I'm Catherine. This is a video podcast where I share my making adventures with a variety of crafty things. I think today it's just knitting to share with you. I live in the rural Midwest with my husband and our 3 daughters. Everybody is home today because it is Saturday afternoon, August 9th. The girls are doing their rest. The baby's going down for her nap. And so there may be other noise in the house other than me. You can find me on Instagram as My Making Adventure, same on Ravelry. All right, so I did finish, last time I filmed, I showed you the baby sweater I was knitting, and it was the Metamorphic pattern by Lisa K. Ross. And I was knitting it in the smallest size without the color work, and then knitting the length longer because it was measuring closer to the 18-month size. So I did finish that. I was very close, so I'm sure you're not surprised. And then I made 3 hats to go using that same yarn. So Dawn had sent me this yarn from Hobie. It is Daily Stitch Wool Blend, 80% acrylic, 20% wool, worsted weight. And so I finished that baby sweater for my friend and decided to make a hat to go with it. And I cast on for the Barley worsted, which is a pattern by Tin Can Knits. And I actually ended up having enough yarn to make 3 hats. I did mail the sweater and one of the hats off to my friend. So I just have this much yarn left. I thought I had a ball in here. Anyway, I have only a little bit of yarn left. I actually had to like rip back my last hat and make some adjustments so that I would have enough yarn. But here are the 2. This one is like the smallest that I made, more of maybe just a newborn size. I can get it on my daughter's head. She's 10 months old, but it doesn't fit her very well. So there's 1. And there's 2. I'll probably donate these either to our local pregnancy center, or if our church does Operation Christmas Child, where you mail shoe boxes of stuff, I might throw in a hat or 2. We'll see how I feel. This one might actually fit my daughter pretty well this winter, so I might keep it for her. I really haven't decided, but it did make really cute little beanies with that pattern. I'm really pleased. I did adjust. So the Tin Can Knits pattern is 1x1 ribbing, but the sweater I did was 2x2 ribbing. And so to make the hat match the sweater, I had to adjust the pattern so that it would have the right number of stitches for 2x2 ribbing, which then meant like I had to do 1 round of decreases that were different than the pattern said. So it's a free pattern. So, I mean, the decreases are done 6 at a time. And when I adjusted for the 2x2 ribbing, I had to have it divisible by 4. And so it wasn't always divisible by 4 and 6. So then I just did like 1 round of decreases, where I just did like 1 decrease, 2 decreases instead of 6. And then I just followed the pattern as recommended. So yeah, 2 little cute little hats. I think each one of these is like under 25 grams of worsted weight yarn. And they look really cute on a baby. Highly recommend. Super quick, fun, easy knit. Okie dokie. I don't think I need that anymore. So those were my finished objects, the sweater and the hats. I think I've probably put a picture of the sweater up there for you. Then I have some whips to share with you. I think this, I don't know, I feel like this is gonna be kind of short because I just feel like some of it is same old, but I do want to show you my progress. Also, because it helps hold me accountable. All right, time to look at some whips. The first one I'm going to show you is the stocking that I've been working on. The pattern design is by Knit Purl Hunter, and I think it's just like in a bundle called Christmas Stockings. I got the 6 pattern bundle, but there was also a 3 pattern bundle. And I'm using Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted yarn and a US 7 4.5 millimeter needle. I'm using like a traveling loop. Oh, there's a little squirrel eating in our front yard, and it's a little black squirrel. We have black squirrels in our area. No, we also have gray squirrels or red squirrels. I think red squirrels. But we have some black ones. There's a black one in our front yard. With a traveling loop so that I don't have weird tension. If I were to knit with magic loop, I would have weird tension at the sides. So here's how far I am. I think it's only about an inch further than last time. Last weekend I worked a lot on the snowman part, and I was feeling like really good about the progress I was making because I'm almost done with like the main part of the snowman's body, but it has like a head and a hat. And so I realized like I'm still not even halfway. This weekend, if I do the same as I did last weekend, I still will not be done with it. And that was kind of depressing, and then I didn't want to do anymore. So hopefully I'll pick this up tomorrow some and knit on it. Once I'm done with the snowman, I think I'm finished with the stranded color work. There's more knitting to do to finish it off, but I think I'll be done with the stranded color work, and it's just finishing like the top of the stocking. So that part should go quickly. I feel like I could do all of the rest of it faster than the rest of the color work. But here we are. So yeah, this is for the for my all of the Christmas in July make-alongs. For some reason I thought I would, Kirsty Knits and Sews is doing a July and August, like a Christmas in July-ish make-along. And I really thought that I could do 2 stockings, but I think I'm gonna be lucky if I finish this one by the end of August because it's already the 9th. So, but this is like, working on this doesn't bring me a lot of joy. Having my kids have, like, my dream of having my kids have beautiful hand knit stockings would bring me joy. So I have to find a way of doing that in a way that is still joyful in the making process. Closer, but I still don't think we're there yet. I cast this on pretty close to the beginning of July, so it's been over a month of working on this. And the foot went pretty quickly, but then once the stranded color work started, it's a lot slower. I mean, there's a little bit of stranded color work in the foot here, but after this little bit here, these are like every 3 rows, so it goes fast. All right. My other 2 works in progress that I have, I believe, are new cast-ons. One, though, is the same pattern I showed you before, which is Micah Satchel by Hannah Graham. This would be my 5th. And I'm using scraps of Cascade 220 Superwash. This is the yarn that I used last year to make my daughters their sweaters, and I had quite a bit left over. I don't know how to hold the needles here because I'm working the I-cord. And there's like ends everywhere, but I have woven most of the ends in. Ooh, that's gonna be annoying. So here is what it is. I thought that the little girl I am making this for would like pink the best. And so I tried to use pink like as the main color, but I didn't have enough of it. And I'm out now. I've used up all the pink. And I changed my color on the middle of the back so you can see the stripes where the jog is. I didn't do anything to try to reduce the jog because I was only doing 2 rows of the pink. I do still have some of the 4 other colors left, but my plan right now is to just do a yellow strap. That's all I have left is a strap, and I think, did you see that? Hopefully my cats don't find that while I'm still filming. Okay, my plan is just to finish it with a yellow strap. And that's where I'm at. This video is going to take me a while to edit because we are getting interrupted. Hopefully you can't tell. This managing the yarn has been a pain. And I could probably have this finished, except my next project, I want to knit on more than I'm enjoying this. But I'm excited to have this for her birthday party in a couple weeks. And I ordered a little game called Tiny Polka Dot. It's like a mathy game for little kids. And I used to be a math teacher, so that's fun for me. And this is like another homeschooling family, so I thought they would appreciate that. And I'll put it like in the purse for her present. So yeah, so this is all the little pieces I have left. I was really good and I used it even my little scraps, even though some of those stripes then were like 2 different pieces of yarn. But this is, and that yellow ball is the rest of the Cascade 220 Superwash I have, with the exception of a whole brand new 100-gram skein of navy. But my daughters have another friend that dark blue is her favorite color. So she will be getting one in this when her birthday comes. So yeah. The last one I knit that I showed you, this is just interesting to me. It's probably not important or interesting to anyone else. The one I knit most recently was knit with Cascade 220 non-superwash, leftovers from my stripe pipe sweater, and all one color. I must have used size 8 needles because I feel like it came out way bigger. And I know now I have this on size 6. But like the non-superwash does kind of like puff up more, so the 8 worked just fine. The fabric felt good. I feel like if I used an 8 with this yarn, the fabric would feel really loose. But I'm using the 6s here, and I wanted to get this done quickly, even though the party's not for 2 weeks, and I'll tell you why in my dream knitting. I want these 6s for another project. So this is Micah Satchel striped version. I really hope I can make this podcast work. My children are having a little bit of a harder day for no reason that I can identify. And that's the worst. Okay, my last whip is the Color Tip Tee by Emily Curtis. I am using Cascade Heritage in this pretty gray color. The color number is 5736. I don't know what it's called. It is a 75-25 superwash, 437 yards per 100 grams. I'm using a US 4 3.5 millimeter needles, and I cast this on August 1st, and I knit the whole back panel in 5 days, which I felt like was super quick for me, especially considering it's like fingering weight. So it has short rows. One thing that I didn't love, and I don't know how common this is, but I feel like usually you like cast on and you purl all the way back and then you start the short rows. On this one, you like start the short rows immediately. So you cast on and you don't purl all the way back. You purl to a certain spot and do a short row and then knit back, short row. And you start working short rows like that before each cast on stitch has been knit. Now, in the moment, it didn't bother me. When it bothered me was I think it made it a little bit harder to see the stitches to pick up for the front panels, just because the short rows kind of distort some of the stitches, and like the short rows on one side, I don't know which side it would have been, but on one of the sides, the short rows were like in that first stitch. So, thing to note. So 5 days on the back panel. I'm on 4 days working the front and also working on that purse. So I have just joined, my goal for today was to join the fronts together, and I just did that. I am also modifying this to be, it's a crew neck as written, and I am making it a V-neck. And Emily in the pattern gives like a little bit of advice on that. She also gives, for the front shaping, a nice chart to follow for where to do your neck and your armhole increases. This is a set in sleeve design, which I haven't done before, but I think that's why there's like significantly more armhole shaping than any other pattern I've knit so far. So like here is where the armhole shaping started at the back. So here's the cast on, here's where you knit plain, and then here's the armhole shaping. So that was like a lot more rows of armhole shaping than I've ever done before. And so when you're doing the front, you're increasing at the neckline and doing armhole shaping at the same time, especially if you're doing the V-neck. So the chart, at first I was like, well, this is unnecessary. But since I was modifying it to a V-neck, I found it to be super helpful because I just like went in and edited the chart. It also has like the stitch count you should have on your needles for each row. And that, I love that. I love being able to double check that I'm on track and I haven't forgotten an increase. So I just joined my V-neck. I'm really hoping to be able to do on the neckline like 1 by 1 rib with that like pretty knit stitch up the middle where they, like everything decreases into it. I've never done anything like that, but I've seen it on other people's projects, so I'm hoping I can find something that will help me make the neckline really cute. This pattern calls for like different colors, like color tip tee. So all of the edging is done with different colors, and I have a mini skein set that I'm planning to use for that. I think the pattern is actually twisted rib, but I think I'm just gonna do plain 1 by 1 rib because of the V-neck aspect that I'm trying to do in the front. I'm also planning to try to add some bust shaping. I have a blog post open on my computer that was linked in the pattern for that as well. I think it just uses short rows, like horizontal bust shaping using short rows, but I'm not gonna worry about that until I have joined under the underarms, and I still have like 20 rows on the front before I have to worry about that. I am a little bit worried, like the density of the fabric it's like really light. A little bit worried about it being like somewhat see-through, but I think like when it's on, it won't be see-through. I almost always wear like a camisole under everything anyway, but yeah. I'm also slightly worried about it being small because this is shoulder. You use like your shoulder measurement to determine your sizing. So, and my shoulder measurement was, let me double check. I think I remember, but that would be weird if, yeah, 16 inches, which is the 5th size in the pattern. So think that's all on this. I'm really, really pleased with it. I'm enjoying working on it. I can't wait to get it like in the round of the body. The back panel and the front left, I had 50 grams left in the ball after that. I did use this for swatching, so, but all that I've done so far then is the front right, and I will just knit this ball in the round until it's done. And then I might want to put all of the fun parts on the sleeves and the collar before I cast on anything more for the body. So that's my current love project, and that is the Color Tip Tee by Emily Curtis. Up next for dream knitting. The project I plan to cast on next includes the needles, my size 6 needles that are in the Micah satchel right now, and some new yarn that I just got. Let me see if I can put this away at least first. I ordered some more Goodwill from Purl Soho. I knit Ollie's classic cardigan for my 3-year-old, and I plan to knit one for my other 2 girls as well. So I let my 5-year-old pick out what color she wanted, and this is what she picked. And it's gonna look really beautiful. And Hannah is releasing the pattern next week or this week, because it will take time between this moment in time and when this video releases. She's planning to release it next week, and I think I'm gonna cast on my daughters, like, if I can, on release day, which is why I wanted to have this satchel finished so that I could have the needles, but I also need to cake up the yarn. So, and I need to cake up more yarn for my Color Tip Tee, the mini skeins, and another skein of that main color. I also used that main color in a pair of socks earlier this year for the heels. So that 50 grams, I feel like went pretty far. Anyway, this is my dream knitting, is another Ollie's classic cardigan. And then this one will be the largest one that I do. The babies will obviously be smaller. So I got 3 skeins of the Goodwill for my daughter's cardigan. And then I actually am hoping to get both of those sweaters done by October. And then I will just have like a sweater for my husband to make, the stockings I'm working on, and I will still like be able to maybe work towards some of my other Make 9 projects. So I'm hoping to be able to give a little bit of a life update really, really quickly. My children are inching toward interrupting me again. So I'm waiting to see how that goes. I'm still working on sewing the baby romper. I have, however, cut out fabric, which I think is an update from last time I filmed. So yay me. I haven't actually stitched anything yet, but I'll hopefully be showing that to you soon. That's another thing I was hoping to work on this weekend, along with the stocking. Life update. We had our VBS day. It went really, really well. I was so grateful for all of the adults who came together to make it just such a wonderful time for the kids. And my kids got to participate and be really loved on by other people, which was such a blessing. I also thought I would share my baking fiasco with you. I think it must have been last weekend after the VBS day when we were all very tired. We needed to make some more bread. And I was mixing up the dough, and I was using the scale, and I actually put our flour bin on the scale, and I zero it out, and then I dump flour into my mixing bowl, and then I see how much I've used. So it gives me the amount in negative. So my bowl of wet ingredients was here. I have the starter, I have the water, I have the oil. It's all mixed up, salt. And then right next to that, I have the scale and the big flour bowl. And I'm tipping the flour in. And for some reason, I did it poorly. And instead of like picking up the flour and dumping it in, I just kind of like must have just like pushed it in, and the flour caught the edge of the wet ingredient bowl, tipped the wet ingredient bowl, so like the water and starter came out onto the counter, onto the scale, into the flour bowl. The flour was also in the bowl, and I think that was like, so now I remember why I did what I did. So I had like no sense of ingredients anymore. Like I didn't know how much stuff stayed in the one bowl. I didn't know like how much flour I had left. It was all chaos. Plus the scale was now wet and broken. So I broke our scale, which I also use for yarn. I ruined all the flour in the bowl, and I like ruined the dough I was trying to make. And instead of just deciding everything was ruined, I decided to just give it a go. The counter was clean before I started, so I just wiped everything. All the flour in the flour bowl went in the bowl. All the stuff I could get off the counter, I wiped back into the dough bowl, and I just mixed it back up. I mixed it. I needed it. It was a little drier than I wanted, so I added more starter. I added more water, and I just mixed it up. And I was like, if this bread doesn't turn out, we can throw it away, because otherwise I'm just throwing it away in ingredient form. And I didn't, like I really wanted bread the next day. I didn't want to have to start over. I didn't think we had enough flour in our house to start over. Like that might have been the rest of our flour in our house until we went grocery shopping. And so, and like I would have had to wait for the starter to refresh, because I had obviously like just used the starter in my bread. So it was like, and I broke the scale. So it was like, how am I going to measure it out again? So I cleaned up the mess, made bread out of it, and the bread turned out. It did. It turned out. I don't know how. It was a miracle. I'm so grateful for it. It tasted good. And I was very pleased. Unfortunately, the scale did not make it through that incident, and we had to get a new scale, but we probably benefited from that anyway, because we got like a slightly nicer one. When we first bought our scale, we weren't sure how much we were going to use it, but we use it a lot, like for baking, for markets, because we sell our produce at markets, so for helping us like package and price items, and then like when I'm knitting, I use it as well. So we got a new scale and it's a little bit nicer. I guess the other life update is that my 5-year-old is starting kindergarten, and we ordered her math curriculum and she wanted to start right away. So even though it's the beginning of August, and typically around here school doesn't start until the end of August, she wanted to start. So we started, and she's loving it and having fun. And yeah, I'm excited. We're like doing our best to fit it into the other things that we have going on in our life, which includes like a baby that pulls to stand on everything and gets into everything, and a 3-year-old who doesn't want to be left out, and I'm working part-time from home 4 hours a day. So like none of that is easy, but we've done it so far, and it's super fun. So I'm really excited and pleased to be able to do that with her. I think that's all the updates I have for you today. The end went pretty smoothly. Fewer interruptions there. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me. God bless.